everybody.
I'm John.
And I'm Ann.
And this is
John and Ann's Wrestling Podcast. All right.
Hi, I was driving a car.
No one can see you. I
What?
don't know if you know that. I don't know how many of these episodes you've watched, but I edit titles over the song. So your dances that you've been doing this whole time have largely been for no one.
I don't think I can do this.
Okay, I understand.
So nobody saw my little dances, my little runs? Sometimes I run or I do dance. Sometimes I do synth.
Well, I did. I saw it. Kathy saw it.
Well, that's
The
something.
cat.
Our director, Kathy.
Our director, Kathy the cat. Welcome back to John and Ann's Wrestling Podcast, everybody. It's a dark time in wrestling, but we're going to power forward.
It's a dark time, but there's a brightness at the end, potentially. I think sometimes, this could lead to a lot of brightness eventually. I'm like Triple H. I did the same exact joke I did last week or 2 weeks ago. I'm like Triple H. I focus on the positive, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't bother myself with lawsuits I may or may not be, that may or may not affect my job or life.
No, I mean, honestly, John, the WWE is in shambles.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw evidence of that this week at this press conference they tried to put on.
Well, I mean, I have a lot of opinions on it. It definitely wasn't a press conference. They called it a press event. Mm-hmm. Very WWE, actually, where they just make up like a new term for it so they don't have to like actually do the thing that they paint it as something, but then they call it a different thing so they can change it and do whatever they want. And the first half of this thing was just junk. I mean, it was just no offense to Bianca Belair, and it happened to be all women's stuff, actually, but Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and Becky Lynch. But it just was Bianca Belair went out there and just did like a John Cena promo. She's a very company person, which makes sense. She's good at that, so I understand why you want her to be the face, and she's professional, and she's not involved in any of the drama, so she can just be company person. And then Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch did a great promo to hype up Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley. That was really funny. Cat's here. Sometimes she likes to be on camera.
Okay, the cat's here.
You don't edit titles over the cat, right? People can see the cat.
People can always see the cat when she chooses to be in frame. But what you were saying, I think you were just running through the order of things.
I was, but it was just funny because Rhea Ripley came out and she was like, at WrestleMania, I'm gonna fight the winner of the Elimination Chamber. But then she was like, I have to fight Nia Jax. And then who comes out? Not Nia Jax, Becky Lynch comes out and they have a face-off. And it's like, way to hype that Nia Jax match. I'm really excited. Pretty sure Nia's got a big chance.
Yeah.
In that one. But who knows? They could always swerve us.
It's always fun to remind us of a match that we've wanted to see for years.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
That they're not going to do. So that's fun.
It would be really funny if they don't. I mean, they could, who knows? Jade Cargill could get the title shot.
They've been teasing this match for 2 years.
Almost basically the whole time you've been watching.
Yeah, pretty much.
But then the main event part of it, I actually really enjoyed. There's guilt because obviously we don't want to get distracted from the horrible, horrible lawsuit plus, all of the deep, deep, deep toxicity.
Well, this is what I mean, John. This company is an absolute shambles. They're trying to distract us with a fancy press event, and they can't even keep it together through that. They're fighting each other.
Oh, wow.
They're slapping each other. There's guys coming out who aren't supposed to be coming out. They're picking other guys they're not supposed to be picking. And then they're saying bad things about the Rock's family tree that he made.
That's tree. A tree. That's
he
tree.
He made a tree.
He made a whole tree.
He did a whole graphic design project. This big tree that Trinity was on.
Oh, yeah.
I saw Trinity's name up there.
I want to show something to everybody. This is something I made in Adobe whatever the Adobe
Photoshop.
I made it. I made it there.
Illustrator, probably.
Yeah, I made it there.
Okay.
I took a class.
You know how to use Illustrator.
A little bit.
The Rock took a graphic design course.
The Rock says you click here and then you add, you insert, you have to import, then you export the image, and it looks good. I found a picture of a tree on Google image search, but then I put a thing over it so it's an original version.
No, he probably asked AI.
Oh, he did.
You know the AI? People ask AI to do that stuff now.
Yeah, that's true. He probably did AI.
That's why the tree had 8 fingers.
The tree's fingers were really messed up.
Yeah. But yeah, this is what I mean. Like The Rock is trying to give a presentation about his family tree.
It's true.
We were all very interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
I love genealogy.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, the crowd turns on him.
For no reason. This guy, he's done nothing.
Those idiots.
Those stupid crybabies.
Those crybabies. They turned on the fabulous Rock.
I know. The fabulous... Man, I was watching NWA Starrcade 86 this week, and that is 100% what they would have called him in that. The fabulous Rock! Everybody had a little weird nickname. Also, some funny thing about NWA in the 80s, everybody would call themselves the world's whatever champion, no matter what title it was. They'd be like, I am the NWA world's national champion. And it was just very funny. I mean, I guess you could say that. They were all coked up. And so they were very excited.
Allegedly.
Excited. I'm sure Buddy Landell was very sober.
Yeah, but now it looks like the main event match from WrestleMania is going to change, maybe. And it's
chance,
people
perhaps.
need to buy tickets.
We've
got to get this figured out.
It's true.
How big a mess can you make that you don't even know what your main event for WrestleMania is going to be? Sir, we have less than 2 months.
Hello. Phone call for WWE management.
Tell them I'll call them back.
Fill out the spreadsheet with the matches. Excuse me. Hi, just pinging you. Friendly reminder.
Did you get the facts?
Somebody assigned the thing on the cell on the spreadsheet.
Have everybody fill out the doodle.
Yeah. Triple H, poor guy, really beside himself. That was out of line with The Rock.
Well, this just goes to show Triple H can't run an ice cream truck.
Wow.
I mean,
who are you, CM Punk?
Did he actually say that?
No, he said a Target.
Oh, okay. See, Triple H couldn't run an ice cream truck that comes with a guy who runs it. You know what I mean?
Wow.
like if he bought the truck and it came with a little old man who'd had that truck for 60 years and knew all the ins and outs of having the truck, he couldn't do it.
That is kind of what Elon Musk did to Twitter. He inherited they had a little guy. They had a bunch of little guys in there that knew how to run it. And he was like, nah.
It's true.
I'm going to change the name to one letter.
I just think everyone at the WWE should have more respect for The Rock. He's a board member.
He is. He can do, and if you heard him,
he can do whatever he wants.
He said you can do whatever the F he wants.
Yeah, he can
multiple
do whatever
times, and then Seth Rollins was saying, you can't do whatever the F you want.
That's part of being on the board of a company.
That's what Cody had that chance.
Yeah,
he could have done that, and he left.
He could have.
And now that's what happens. Now he's trying to earn it or whatever. No.
This is the thing about this storyline that is hard for me to swallow. Is I really, truly, in my heart, do not believe they will ever give Cody that championship, and I think they will go so far out of their way to not give him that championship that to get excited about this, I feel like, is a losing game.
That is almost my entire
adult life.
I was gonna say adult life, but part of my child life as well. But more than half my life has been being disappointed
most of
by
my
WWE.
mortal life.
Yeah, let me tell you again, the John Cena era of WWE was exclusively that. It was like you having some level of false hope for no reason, because there was never any evidence that it would ever pay off. And you're like, maybe this time. Does Cena need to be champion again? He did, as it turns out. He did need it again.
He did.
He really needed it.
Yeah. That guy
really
goes through a lot. He has a rough time.
He does.
It's like, it's the least you can do. Just let him be. Let him be the champ.
That Johnny really needs it. Johnny really. He's in a bad place.
John
right now.
Cena.
John Cena. That is what Santino Morelli used to call him. Fake Italian guy from Canada. Santino Morelli. Now the director of operations or whatever he is in TNA.
Oh, I like him.
Yeah, he's great. But yeah, so it was interesting.
What is the WrestleMania main event, John? What do you think it's going to be?
Well, it's on SmackDown. They said it's going to be Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the undisputed Universal Championship.
Really?
Triple H said it, and he said and it doesn't matter if you don't like that, because he said The Rock was out of line.
So,
which The Rock,
do you think Triple H and The Rock are going to fight at WrestleMania?
Well, Triple H
for control of the company.
Hopefully, I mean, not, because he's that pacemaker now. So I don't think that I would be. No, without the pacemaker, 100%. There's no chance that it wouldn't be Triple H versus The Rock, and somehow Cody would still lose, even not being in the match. But now I feel like hopefully Triple H would know better than to potentially risk having a legitimate heart attack. I mean, I don't know. He's still pretty jacked, so obviously he can work out and stuff. But wrestling is a lot. And Triple H, if he wrestles at WrestleMania, he loves doing it for 15 minutes longer than he needs to be. But yeah, I feel like it's gonna be good. I feel like it's gonna be a good show. But that's what they said it was. Poor Bailey's over here. She didn't do nothing. She's just she has her story going.
Well, Bailey and Dakota Kai are friends again.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, I see. You're fast forwarding through
fast forward the women's stuff on.
Yeah, on SmackDown, and then you just
Dakota Kai.
Yeah, Dakota Kai. No, she declared. She and Bailey made up. She saved Bailey.
Good.
She hit other people with chairs.
Oh,
she did the thing where you think she's gonna hit you with a chair, but then she hits the people who are attacking you with chairs.
Good. I have to watch it because I have to make sure that she. I have to see if because I'm pretty sure she probably didn't do that thing where you tease. Are you gonna hit one or the other? Because I feel like you just aim on the person that you're not gonna hit, lock in on them. So then when you turn and do it, that's what Jon Stewart did it the bad way, where he's who's he gonna hit? It's Jon Stewart. We assume that you're in there to help the babyface. So if you're gonna hit the babyface, ignore the babyface. Just focus on the heel, so it's more shocking when you do turn. But if you do the thing, it's well, now I know you're probably gonna.
Big notes for Jon Stewart, who's returning to the airwaves tonight.
Tonight? No, it's tonight.
It'll be.
Oh yeah.
Monday night.
My fellow Daily Show co-star, Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
We both have been on the Daily Show. That is a true thing.
Yeah.
That we can say. He and I are equal parts of the Daily Show's success. Mm-hmm. We 100%. I'm the foundational. Okay. But yeah, so Bailey's over here doing her story. She's not involved in any of this nonsense. She's doing great. She's doing it the right way. She's doing business the right way.
She is. And she's keeping her head down, remembering her love for it.
She is.
And, doing that classic wrestler stuff. So, but lucky for her, she doesn't work somewhere like New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Well, good. Yeah, good for her, because they probably wouldn't let her wrestle, because they don't really ever have women's matches on there.
I was just trying to segue.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to add something quick to the thing here.
Well, why don't you just say it?
Well, it's in a different section.
Oh my god.
But so here's the thing. New Japan is really going through. So I watched some New Japan, right? They had the New Beginning in Osaka, one of the big shows from their New Beginning tour, and some really great stuff. New Japan is losing. Last year they lost Jay White, who was one of their top foreign stars, and they lost some other people. But this year they're losing Will Ospreay, Kazuchika Okada. Those are two of their absolute biggest stars. And others, and they lost Aussie Open to AEW, and so they're losing a lot of people to AEW. It seems like Okada's probably going to AEW. Will Ospreay is definitely going to AEW. So the field is wide, and then Tanahashi is older. Tanahashi and Naito aren't that old; they're only in their 40s, but it's just that they are very physically wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are some guys in there Ishii's older than both of them.
Being in your 40s as a wrestler is pretty big.
Yeah,
deal.
Ishii's almost he's 48, and he's crushing it still. It's just a lot of it is just it depends on it's the luck of the draw. I mean, Naito's just had so many. He's only like 41, and he's had like just so many really bad injuries. He's gonna be like blind in one eye or have like double vision for the rest of his life.
Oh my gosh.
So a lot of their top stars are gone. And it's crazy because I can't remember another time when like this many. It truly would have been like if Austin and The Rock both left WWF during the Attitude Era, and like we're got like it's that level of stars for them that they're losing. And I mean that kind of did happen at one point. They didn't leave necessarily, but they both they were retired. And I just it's crazy. We'll see if they can get through it. I think that they will because I'm excited about the future. They've been building some newer guys. Shota Umino, Yota Tsuji. Ren Narita is this new heel thing that he's doing, and I think a lot of these guys are gonna Yoyo Uemura, former tag team partner of Joe Hendry. I think they're really gonna be. They're gonna make it. They're gonna make it. I think they just have to stop trusting AEW. AEW keeps stealing. He does keep stealing all of their big people. I mean, I get it, but.
Oh, well,
I don't know. I think that they're gonna do well.
CMLL, take note.
I know. Do you think if Tony Khan definitely would sign Mystico if he could at least, and then probably Hechisero's been killing it on it. I also like this feud with I don't know. I'll just segue into the next stuff. I like this feud with the CMLL versus Blackpool Combat Club in AEW because everyone is a heel. No one is nice in this. Everybody's just like attacking each other from behind. They're all cheating. They're all like vicious and being dicks to each other. So I kind of love it. The only one who's like a babyface is Matt Sydal. That's the only one who seems like, and I guess Mystico.
Yeah, Mystico is he's got the power of the Lord.
That's true. No other wrestler has that.
No, God is not on the side of other wrestlers. God is only on Mystico's side.
That's right. God promised. He's like, Mystico, I got you.
Pretty much.
You're my guy.
Yeah. But speaking of AEW being greedy and stealing New Japan stars.
Mercedes Moné Watch.
Oh boy.
Remember her?
Yeah.
We used to for a long time, non-long time.
For like
listeners,
a year.
We started like doing a thing randomly called Sasha Banks Watch.
Yeah.
And then she just by chance became like the hottest story to follow in wrestling because she and Naomi left WWE suddenly. And it was like this whole thing. And we haven't really been doing because she's been injured for most of the year. So now the return of Mercedes Moné Watch.
Yeah. I think it's happening.
Big business.
Sure. Big business.
AEW big business. It's either
Bosstown.
In Bosstown. I almost said Bosstown, New York, but it's Massachusetts.
It says Bosstown on the poster.
And it's big. It's got her big sunglasses. It would really be funny if it's just Big Show. Paul White is going to debut as a corporate sellout heel called Big Business.
That probably is the backup plan if something goes wrong.
Yeah, Paul White's always there for your backup plan if you want, if you need him. But it's going to be. But as you pointed out, it could also be Okada. I mean, it's got to be Mercedes at this point. You know, she's ready to come back.
They literally put Bosstown with the two S's that are dollar signs on the artwork.
Yeah, Okada he's had bosses.
Yeah, but she has literally a ring that looks like that.
I'm sure he's married.
You know,
probably worn a ring.
No, the big letter rings she wears.
Yeah.
She has legit boss. Like she has the two.
I'm sure Okada could borrow those.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably Okada. It's probably just Okada.
No, I'm saying he could be. It's Mercedes is the obvious one, but it could, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give you credit.
Well, I didn't point it out. I just saw it on Twitter.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Then whoever on X.
It's my reporting work.
Said that. It could also be Okada because he's money themed as well. And the rumor, the scuttlebutt, this isn't shooting range, but the scuttlebutt is that he is going to AEW. He's decided on AEW. He talked to WWE.
Scuttlebutt.
He's going to AEW. I think right now is a time when you're watching WWE where you're like, maybe not right now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to see how this really horrific lawsuit that could legitimately kill the company plays out, and also just is like a weird time to choose to go there, you know. So he's going to AEW, it seems like, which part of me actually kind of did want him to go to WWE just because it would have been very different from New Japan for him. But AEW is still going to be great. But yeah, Mercedes coming in, and I think that also brings me into like they're focusing on women's talent, women's stories.
Yeah, they
I almost
signed
didn't
Deonna
want to mention it.
Purrazzo, Mariah May.
I almost didn't want to mention it because I didn't want to jinx. I didn't want to be like, they're doing so much better than they were, and then be like, oh yeah. They did put the 2 women's matches on Collision this week next to each other. So they got them both. But it was because they wanted Deonna Purrazzo and Toni Storm to like interact.
This week on ROH, there were like 4 women's matches.
ROH has like kind of always pretty heavily featured women's stuff.
It's a lot of cool women's wrestling on ROH. I enjoyed it this week a lot.
Yeah, Nyla Rose is down there doing stuff.
Yeah.
And they have a new title coming out too. The women's TV title.
Yeah, the only title I'm really aware of at ROH after watching an episode of it are the women's titles. So
yeah, well, because
Eddie
Kingston is like not on ROH really. Kyle Fletcher.
I also fast forwarded through a lot of the boys' matches, not because I was trying to be mean, but because I had specific things I wanted to see, and they were all the boys' matches were largely squash matches. It was like Ethan Page squashing a guy.
Kind of what ROH is.
I did watch the main event though, which was get this, Commander, Willie Mack, Jack Cartwheel, and AR Fox.
Wow, a 4-way or a tag match?
It was a 4-way.
Was it 4 or something? You get a title shot or something?
I think it was maybe.
Maybe a TV title shot or something?
Maybe. I don't know. I just watched it because I was like, oh, this is a big, lot of guys I know.
That's great.
Jack Cartwheel.
Jack Cartwheel just got a GCW World title shot against All Farts Blake Christian.
Yeah, guess who won?
Credit to that teenager at GCW.
Do you want to guess who won it?
The ROH match?
Yeah.
So it's Jack Cartwheel, AR Fox, Willie Mack, and Commander? Commander?
He did.
Commander gets to like, because he's on TV a lot and he loses like most of the big matches, but he wins a lot of stuff like that, especially for like title shots. They're doing a good job with him. I know he loses a lot, but he's also like, it is kind of that thing where he's losing to get over. Yeah. And he's the most consistent luchador that they've like signed. Because they've had like Vikingo has been great, but you know, he's really Bandito is awesome, but Bandito got hurt immediately. And there are other guys that like got hurt immediately. Or Gravity kind of is, I think he's back in ROH because Gravity is cool.
Gravity was on this show.
Gravity's cool, but then I saw him like at a tag match on Collision a couple months ago where he botched almost literally every single thing he did, and it was like maybe Gravity needs a little bit more seasoning, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, Gravity just doesn't make sense yet, you know? It's like...
I do like the whole where he's slowly... I
just like the idea of criticizing Gravity as a force.
Oh, yeah, that's... It was also funny when Tony Khan debuted him because he was like, you know, you guys like Bandito? Well, we've got Bandito's brother, Gravity. But yeah, now Gravity is, you know... I almost said Wayne Newton. Who was the... Isaac Newton? Is that the Gravity guy?
Yeah. With the apple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wayne Newton is a singer in Vegas Vacation. It's where he debuted alongside Beverly D'Angelo. Crazy that Wayne Newton's had all those hits in just since 1997. He didn't do anything before that.
I can't even think of a Wayne Newton hit right now.
Donkey Shame.
Oh, that's Wayne Newton?
That's Wayne Newton, yeah. He's very old.
Oh.
I don't know any other Wayne Newton songs, but I know that one.
I didn't know that was Wayne Newton.
No, he's a good one. He knows one little phrase in German. Who else does? Frank Sinatra couldn't speak German. I can guarantee you that.
How can you guarantee that?
Because he's dead and he can't refute that. So unless we find somebody who knew him.
I thought you were going to say because he's dead and dead people can't say anything.
Oh, that's smarter. That is much smarter. All right. So, but anyway,
much darker.
Anyway, back to the AEW Women's Division. They've been doing a much better job with this. Toni Storm has been maybe the catalyst for it because she's been like a bulletproof on these funny promos and just like absolutely killing it. And they've been booking. They've always got like 2 women's matches and like a segment. And they've been getting a lot of focus. Toni Storm is great. Deonna Purrazzo is great. I'm glad she's there. But like Sky Blue, Julia Hart is over as hell. And Chris Statlander has been. I like her team up with Willow.
Oh yeah,
and,
that's so
and
funny.
little
Oh,
Stoolie.
Stoolie.
And actually on Rampage, she had Willow and Stokely Hathaway. They hugged.
Yeah,
So
I
they're
heard they're
friends
getting
now.
along better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
the Outcasts, or not the Outcasts. Yeah, the Outcasts.
Yeah, they beat the
The
Outcasts.
Outcasts broke up though. Ruby Soho finally put Saraya in her place. She
Oh,
got off the. She
wow.
did that thing where she was waiting for the tag and then got off the apron,
Oh God.
and then she knocked out Harley Cameron.
Wow,
And so she's
Ruby.
finally. So the Outcasts implode. So I think they should do.
Outcasts.
See, this is what I want. They're doing more matches, more focus on women's stories, which is great, and they're prioritizing signing. But I know they're signing Okada, but like most of the big signings they've done recently were
Yeah.
like, I mean, Queen Aminata's been getting a lot of focus.
Yeah.
Megan Bain is coming in. They signed Deanna Purrazzo. They've signed Mercedes, or supposedly,
Yeah.
and they signed somebody else recently too. Mariah May was a big person, so they're focusing on this, and I think it's really good. But I also want to make sure that we keep focusing on these stories. Saraya and Ruby Soho is great for Rampage, but I say put it on Revolution, so you can have a TBS title match, a Women's World title match, and even if they did only have 2 matches on the pay-per-view for the women's division, I like the idea of one of them just not being for a championship, because a lot of time women's wrestlers get pigeonholed
Yeah.
into just having the title matches because it's like, well, we get the title, so they never get to do anything else. That was a great thing about SmackDown, 2016 SmackDown, where that was it was booked very well, and they had like less matches on each pay-per-view, but they would have like 2 women's matches out of like 6 on every pay-per-view, and they would be like a women's title match, but then also just like Nikki Bella versus whoever she was feuding with, I can't remember, but it was just like this no DQ match just because they were having a feud. And it seems so simple, but it's just like women's wrestling doesn't get that
No.
outside of like GCW or places where it's all intergender stuff,
Yeah.
or an all women's promotion.
So we're
like
excited
Stardom.
for Mercedes Moné
Yeah, we are excited for Mercedes Money.
to come back. We can't wait
Money.
to get money.
Money.
Should we do the shooting range?
Yeah, pew 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 pew. There's actually a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about here. We might as well transition straight from women's wrestling. That Rossi Ogawa from Stardom, the founder and then like the head booker of Stardom, is fired from Stardom.
Yeah.
Not for salacious reasons, but he was apparently. They said that he was like poaching talent for another promotion. Tony Khan was very convinced that he was like a mole for WWE.
Oh.
But apparently his like creative differences, I don't know. He thinks they were like funneling. Tony was under the impression that Rossi was preventing him from booking Stardom talent, but I think it was really more just that he was the dates weren't lining up. I don't know. We'll see. But it's a big in the 90s or the late 90s, early 2000s, and this has happened I think in a couple promotions, and I think maybe every time it was All Japan. All Japan Pro Wrestling was like the biggest promotion in Japan. They were very, very popular throughout the entire 90s. And this guy, Giant Baba, who was literally like an Andre the Giant type wrestler, but he was the owner and the booker. And everybody respected him and loved him. He trained Mitsuharu Misawa to be his like protege, and he was going to be in charge, but then Baba died, and then Baba's widow was like getting control of the company, and she was trying to like push Misawa out or like trying to like take over control, and Misawa was like, fine, I'm just gonna leave, and then took all but 2 guys from the roster and formed Pro Wrestling Noah, and it almost killed All Japan.
No, yeah.
So I could see something like that happening with Stardom, because a lot of Stardom wrestlers are apparently very loyal to this Rossi guy, and they're very, very. They want like Julia. Apparently, I've heard already scuttlebutt that she's committed to that he's going to start a promotion, and she's committed already to doing that promotion before she would even go to WWE. So we could see a mass exodus from Stardom. This could be bad for Stardom, but Tony Khan seems optimistic that he's going to get to work with Stardom more, which would be cool. But I don't know who's going to be there. But so that was a big shooting range thing.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of people getting fired for non-Vince McMahon type reasons, Scott D'Amore fired from TNA Wrestling.
Yeah.
Which sucks. Scott D'Amore was like the heart and soul of that place, and he did so much to get. He made me like cry at the end of the TNA, like that first Impact that I watched. After Will Ospreay versus Josh Alexander, he came out and did like this whole promo about like TNA and it being bad. And it was like, it's the most TNA thing in the world to have like momentum and like an amazing roster and like a lot of good stuff going on and then mess it up with like stupid business creative stuff.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are upset that he's gone, and I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I've
They
heard
had a good
okay
thing going.
things. I've heard okay things about the guy that's replacing him as just like being willing to listen to people, but I just hate corporate entities like losing sight of their product and what they do, and just being like, well, growth and cheapness and profit, and it's just very silly. And I don't know. Hopefully, it's just sad because they had all this momentum, and I was even very excited about TNA. You know, they were able to like make the TNA name seem like a reclaiming of like honor and their roots instead of like a joke about tits and ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's hard to do. It took a very long time to rehabilitate them.
Yeah.
And they've been solid for a while, but
Yeah.
we'll see. I don't know. So hopefully they can do that. I mean, even Will Ospreay said that he was actually like genuinely considering going to TNA instead of AEW because he grew up on TNA. Because apparently TNA was on like free TV in the UK, and WWE was like a premium channel thing. So like a lot of people in the UK, like he grew up. TNA was the wrestling that he watched. That was like what inspired him to be a wrestler. Anyway, moving on. Hopefully,
that's sad.
I think I've seen this theory. This is not an original theory, but I would love for Scott D'Amore to get hired by Tony Khan to run ROH and book ROH. That would be great because Tony Khan, I think AEW's booking has actually been really strong lately. They've got a lot of stories going. But ROH is like, you know, it's a lot for Tony Khan to be doing like on his own. I think if you would have somebody like Scott D'Amore in charge of it, you could turn it into more of a developmental thing. I love ROH. I love its history, but you know, it is a different thing now than it was. And so I think you should just turn it into your NXT. You know, like why not just do that? You can do it your own way. You can run it more like an indie wrestling promotion and less like a college athlete conditioning center.
Yeah.
But and that's not an insult to NXT. You know, NXT's been good, but
You can
screw
insult
it.
NXT.
I can insult NXT a little bit. But anyway, and it's got the history. You've got the ROH legacy and history, so it's not you're starting from nothing. But so hopefully that happens. And also, in the shooting range, Bret Hart really going in on Vince McMahon. This was great.
Yeah, Bret Hart with the face turning
He's
against
always
the
been a
company,
face.
turning against Mr. McMahon.
Hitman's always been a face.
Came out and said that he you know, in light of these allegations against Vince, he thinks of him differently and isn't afraid to say so. And he said he ran into Rita Chatterton at an event several months ago and apologized to her
Profusely.
and said that he believed her now, which is big, you know?
It is big.
It's big. Like, I think it's much cooler when someone comes out and says, like, you know what, I was wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm mad now. Because that to me, that's like the most badass thing in the world somebody can do. Because one, you're showing that you are like self-aware enough and intelligent enough to admit when you're wrong.
That's the whole learning and
growing
growing thing.
Yeah. And two, now you're like, your anger is justified because it's like you've, you know, it feels deeper and just more valid. When somebody's like, you know what, I'm mad for this reason, and also because I was hoodwinked, you know, also because I believed something that wasn't true. It's very human. It's very relatable. It's just very like, I appreciated it a lot.
I hope it inspires other people too to be like, to break this kind of like spell. I know people have had good interactions with Vince and owe their careers to him and all this stuff, but like, I think you just got to be not afraid to. Yeah,
I mean the thing about Bret,
be honest about him, you know, and call it. But like, I mean, it's you know.
Yeah, because the thing about Bret is, we kind of know he didn't have a lot of love for Vince anyway. Even though at the end of the last conversation that I read with Bret Hart, he was a little bit defensive of Vince and like grateful to Vince, and it seems like that's totally gone now. He doesn't respect him at all. In the words of Eddie Kingston, at all.
I think it's you know, a lot of it. I think with Bret was he as he had admitted, he just didn't want to lose his legacy because Vince had total control over his entire career, basically. And even WCW, even as like even though WCW was like, you know, just a kind of a pin at the end of his career that was maybe best left unremembered. A lot of it. No offense to him, but it was, you know, even Vince also controlled that because he owned all that footage.
I feel like an insult from Bret Hart to Vince is like even more meaningful because Bret Hart is Bret Hart. He's from that family. Yeah. I'm starting to read Martha Hart's book that she wrote about Owen's life and death. And just reading about the Hart family, I'm like, oh yeah, Bret Hart's dad was a promoter and a wrestling school teacher, and
Stampede wrestling and
like Bret Hart understands the business better than anybody.
yeah.
And he thinks you did it in a shitty way.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you did then. I don't know who else would be an
100%.
expert on it. Like
100%. Bret Hart's one of the most respected wrestlers and like just people involved in wrestling of all time.
yeah, like you can never say he's naive about the business or anything.
No, he's like the Rock type
Yeah.
guy. He was born into it.
Right.
You know, same thing. Like they're from wrestling families. I mean, the Hart wrestling family is a huge dynasty. That's why there was a thing called the Hart dynasty. That was the thing.
Yeah. And so I think for him to be this critical of and surprised by the Vince stuff is big.
Yeah.
Personally.
And to just admit that it's like, yeah, that's, I mean, some people like weirdly protect him. And it's just like, you know, and a lot of it's out of fear and I think like almost like a brainwashing because he's a very manipulative guy, you know, and you can see that in his interactions with people.
Yeah.
He can make you think that he's good, you know, and that he's like, and he's good for you.
Yeah.
And that's how he became so powerful. And then, you know, really this whole John Laurinaitis thing is like very telling of it because it's like, why would he be saying that he was like a victim or whatever if he didn't think it was true?
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know.
No, I think it's time for everybody to come out and talk about Vince because, quite frankly, if you don't, your silence is deafening. I know it's a cliche, but it really is. It's really what it feels like to me. Like I hate to sound like such a like dork, but that's the only way I can think to describe
Especially
this
if you're
feeling
like
I
retired
have.
and not, you know,
Because it's like
not dependent on a Legends contract or anything.
Yeah.
And he's actually gone anyway. So even if you are living off a Legends contract, it doesn't.
I mean, well, and it's also just like even from WWE's standpoint right now, like WWE just kind of stopped pretending he existed, but like it's in all like it's tainted everything, you know? And I feel like it's going to do that until you start saying, you know, no, you know, not this. Like we're not gonna let you taint this. This is gonna be different, you know.
Yeah.
And every single individual wrestler's brand, I think, kind of needs that. Like needs to put that boundary up to be like, I don't want to be associated with this man, you know.
Well, you also have to like really start doing that so you can like continue on with getting rid of like the rot in that company, because if you because a lot of people like even that Netflix press event or whatever where they were asking them about like all the Vince McMahon stuff, their only response is like, well, he's gone, gone, so it's fine. And it's just like he's not.
Yeah, but that's not how it works, and we're all grown ups, so it's like an insult to our intelligence.
Like, how do we know this isn't going to continue to happen? You know, this is like a horrible, like, you know, it's crazy to think that stuff like this was happening in the 2020s.
Yeah.
Because again, it's had to have been like literal, like, I mean, well, there were literal crimes, but like even, anyway.
John, you're out. Get out of here. All right. Well, I feel like we've talked a lot about that.
Yeah.
I think there'll be plenty of opportunity to talk about it in the future too, because I don't think this story's going anywhere.
Yeah.
Let's do the awards.
The awards for wrestling.
I like that you make him a different song every single time.
It's because I don't remember what I did last time. All right. So, promo of the week.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Do you want to go first?
No, you go first. You're listed first on the doc, so you must be the most important one. And you're billed first in the title of the show. Anyway.
Look, we're a team that lift, and we as a team lift me up. All right, so it's I'm going to say promo of the week. I will say, you know, I know it was a shambles, but that WrestleMania 40 press event, the main event thing was
absolute shambles.
I mean, it's just to be to talk about it as a shoot, it was really well done. It was actually, as you described it, sad at first, like up through the point where The Rock was showing everybody the freaking picture of the family tree and just like Mark Zuckerberg tone deaf style, just explaining to everybody how this was the right thing to do,
at that
and like
point,
being so condescending.
At that point, I really was sitting there like, this company is falling apart.
Yeah.
Like, that is literally what I thought.
This is what's good. Trust us.
I was like, this is I'm watching an American institution crumble is what I thought.
And then Cody Rhodes comes out and it just like lit on fire. And part of the reason, so WWE doesn't always like pivot stuff. And they did this time. And I was going to talk about it. I'll just talk about it now. So I was also going to put it with my shock of the week. The Rock turns heel and WrestleMania actually pivots. WWE pivots. They often don't. They have in the past done a little bit of a pivot where like the Daniel Bryan stuff and WrestleMania, because the WrestleMania 30 main event was supposed to be Randy Orton versus Batista.
Mm-hmm.
But Daniel Bryan was just so wildly organically popular, you couldn't deny him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had to change things to insert him into that main event. And there's something where they, is not common. And this time they actually were like, okay, so this is a mess. Like I think it was 100% a corporate like power struggle, creative miscommunications post-merger, and they just are leaning into it now. They're letting people react to like the real situation, which is like the best kind of wrestling angle, where they take the real stuff. That's how CM Punk became so popular. You take the real stuff and you do a little kayfabe. That's what Eddie Kingston does all the time, and so they're just letting these characters act and react to things in a realistic understanding, in a realistic way that people can understand. This is why I always get mad at them for insulting the audience, because they have people do stupid things and ignore obvious things, and it makes them look weird, and it makes the audience feel stupid because you're like, I see this thing, but you're ignoring it because you don't think I'm smart enough to pick up on it. But now it's like, just to have like The Rock there to be like, you're talking about my family when you talk to him. I know normally I'm just like a babyface that's unaffected by most things, and I'm sarcastic, but I'm mad about this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to now side with him because we're family, and I'm upset with you. And even Rollins coming out here, like, I didn't like that they kind of still make the Rollins title look shitty, but I 100% understand his perspective on this, and I actually really appreciate it, where he's just like, wants Cody Rhodes to face him because he's like, they don't respect that title. They're going to do whatever they want. They don't respect wrestling. Like, we respect wrestling. We respect wrestling history. This title can be that if we like band together and work towards it and build something new. And he's like feeling disrespected, and he's like trying to get Cody to do it. Like, I understand that aspect, and I think that's really good. And he's like screaming at The Rock, like, you can't do whatever you want. And The Rock was cursing. I'm just like so floored that The Rock is okay with being this evil heel. And not only was he a heel, he was a heel I've never seen The Rock be before.
A not cool heel?
Yeah, well, not
like,
a silly heel. Like,
yeah.
he's always been like the Cody Crybabies thing and whatever. And it's like, even the Hollywood Rock was like great. That was like 20 years ago, but he was like doing the Rock concerts and doing jokes. He was like legit a little bit scary. When he was like, my ancestors, like my family. Like, he was scary. And cursing him out and being like, just leading into like being the boss now and yelling at Triple H to fix it, and then having this like corporate thing. I love that Triple H and The Rock's feud will never end. They're always going to be hating each other and one-upping each other, but it was just really very well done. I'm not sure exactly where this is going to go. It seems like maybe a tag match.
I think a tag match would be really cool.
Yeah, even the not the commentators, but the people hosting it, like the panelists or whatever, they had Big E and CM Punk there, and they were just like, CM Punk admitting to that he was like, if they were fighting with me, I'd have been scratching faces and like, yeah, we know, Punk, we know that we know you're ready to fight. But yeah, it was like, Big E was like, so we're booking a tag match, but it was great because they were even letting them just like honestly analyze it. They weren't making anybody like try to lie or like, do a fake.
The CM Punk thing, the CM Punk element of that gave the whole night for me this air of like, I think it's the first time I've truly felt like I was in the WWE's alternate reality. Because normally, like, I have the context for, like, a wrestling show. So I'm like, okay, I'm watching a wrestling show, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, it's lame that they don't acknowledge this or, whatever. But I don't, like, with this event, since it wasn't, like, a traditional wrestling show, it was just a weird, I just felt fully in the world of like this craziness of like, I think it was CM Punk just doing the illusions to like beating people up that made me like feel crazy, where I was like, oh my God, like I'm in this weird.
It's kind of where you want to be though. Yeah.
No, I know. It's a weird, like trippy thing where you're like, oh my God, it's literally like we're in an alternate reality right now.
See, this is the difference between them showing you stuff and telling you stuff.
Yeah.
Like this is, you see them be this way. You're seeing The Rock change. You're seeing people react to things and be committed and affected by things, as opposed to just like, well, they usually just like spam tell you what they want you to believe about it, and it's just like it's hard to get invested in that, or it's harder to get invested in that. And it's like if they really commit, they can actually earn the stuff that they say they do all the time, which is tell stories.
Yeah, and then you do feel like you're in this like pseudo reality, because it doesn't even feel like a play or like theater at that point. It just feels like
nothing else like it. If it's hitting on all cylinders, it truly is.
It is more just like being under a spell where you're like, and you're like forgetting about the existence of reality, I guess, is what.
I mean, I was going to say the only thing you could compare it to is like if people at a debate were able to like be super truthful with each other and say like crazy shit to each other, and that's literally how Donald Trump got popular. They would do shit like that.
It's that spell. Okay, my promo of the week. Okay.
Yes.
So Dalton Castle this week. All right.
My boy. My Brockport alum.
Fantastic on ROH. Did a very long well, I'm going to say all of his promos on that show are my promos of the week.
And
I'm going to reveal to you, because you wanted to know about Dalton Castle's friend. Because this also is my shock of the week. So this is kind of working together.
Yeah, we could just do that.
So sorry, I got the wire in the cat's face. So Dalton Castle was going to have his friend come wrestle Johnny TV, because Johnny TV didn't want to wrestle Dalton Castle.
I saw him say he doesn't go here. You don't know him.
Yeah. And then he was like, as somebody from somewhere else. And so it was like this big mystery of who it was going to be. Okay, right? And they come to his dressing room before the match to try and get a word with his friend. And it just says Dalton's friend on the dressing room. And then, Leah, right?
I'm not who interviewers.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I know Lexi Nair sometimes.
Lexi
Nair is on like Collision sometimes.
Yes, it's Lexi. Sorry, I always get her name wrong. And like Lexi's like, is this a laundry room? And he's like, no. And he's
also been like kind of going insane a little bit, hasn't he?
And Taya Valkyrie's there with Johnny TV, and they're like, let's see your friend, and he calls her you are a wild pig of filth. And so then we meet Dalton Castle's friend, whose name is Hombre de Pavo Real de Montaña. And he's a bearded man in a mountain outfit who comes down to the ring, and the Johnny TV's like, Dalton, we can tell that's just you. And the announcers are like, no, this is his friend, and he couldn't have grown a beard that quickly. But it is Dalton Castle, and eventually he takes it off. And then he does a promo against them where he's like, I want to smash your face into a Picasso, and points to Taya and goes, I'm going to kick you in the Georgia O'Keeffe. And Johnny TV turns to Taya and he's like, see, Georgia O'Keeffe was like an impressionist painter who did
See, this is great, because this is why you want to watch ROH, and I feel bad that I like never have time, because it's just like Wild West kind of.
This was magical. Anyway, so I had to basically reenact that whole thing to make my promo of the week clear what it was. But this was so much fun. They did not wrestle because Johnny TV did not want to wrestle him, and he won't tell him why until next week. And so Dalton Castle like goes kind of crazy again, and they go in his locker room, and it is the laundry room, and he gets in a big laundry machine. And it's great. Anyway, that's my promo of the week.
That's great. Watch ROH.
We love Dalton Castle.
We do. We were in the TV club at SUNY Brockport together. Shoot. That's a shoot.
It is.
Brother. All right.
Match of the week.
Match of the week. I did it. I have a tie. And I know you screamed at me about this.
I don't
camera.
like the ties.
You screamed at me.
I don't like the ties. I don't think it's fair.
Verbally.
It's like, what's the point of
assaulted
picking
me.
one if you're gonna pick two? Anyway.
So the reason I'm picking two is because they have different qualities. They're very different types of matches, and I feel like they both excelled at the things that they were doing in very different ways. And they're both on New Japan's The New Beginning in Osaka show. So nobody listening to this probably saw them, but they were. But it was a fantastic show, hot crowd. So we had Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr., which is their first match in like Japan, in New Japan. Zack Sabre Jr. It's basically they wanted to be the best technical wrestler, and Zack Sabre Jr. said Bryan Danielson didn't really beat him, or he had to beat him with a strike. He didn't beat him with a submission, and so he was like, you need to beat me. I need another chance. And it was just like a beautifully wrestled match. I feel like a lot of people don't think that like these types of matches, these like kind of like sport focused matches, don't have story, and it had so much story and character. These two were. It's just the story is that these two guys have a lot of pride, and they're very good at this type of wrestling, and they want to outdo each other. And I bet there's probably an element of realness to that, where they both think that they're better, and there's a real competitive. And Bryan Danielson is never better than when he's being a jock dickhead who likes messing with you. There was one point where Bryan Danielson had Zack Sabre Jr.'s legs, and he was like, grab the ropes. And then Zack Sabre Jr. was like, I don't need the fucking ropes. And he's just like, you grab my... It was just very funny to watch them berate each other, but it was just great. And then Zack Sabre Jr. did actually win via pinfall, which was a big deal. You wanted him because I really want them to focus on him as a big star going forward in New Japan. He's very over, and they need him. Also, this is the first... I've never heard a Japanese crowd chant, "This is awesome," and "Fight forever."
Aww.
Which the chants normally I'm like very over, but to hear the crowd in Japan chant that was incredible. I've never ever seen that before. So that was fantastic, and that was like hold focused, like wrestling focused wrestling. It was like they didn't do any like crazy spots. They just wrestled really well, and they had a very simple story. It was long, but it was very, very good. It was 32 minutes, and it felt like 15. Like it was did not feel like a long match, and they're both so good at making things interesting that while they're selling and stuff like that. Great, everything was perfect. And then the complete opposite was the main event of this show, which is Will Ospreay's last New Japan match, at least for now. He swears he's going to come back. And this is like New Japan's version of a War Games match, which is absolutely batshit because they do not ever do stuff like this. They had a cage not around the ring. The cage was around it was like a barricade, like where the audience would be, and so they had the cage all the way out there. And then it was like War Game style that people would like come in every once in a while. And it was just complete. It was over an hour. It was nuts. Crazy spot. They pulled up the ring. People were wrestling on like boards that were like popping up.
Oh yeah, I saw the boards popping up.
And it was like everybody had like a story. This guy Francesco Akira, who's this Italian like junior heavyweight guy, he was been like afraid to wrestle the match because he doesn't wrestle stuff like this, like these hardcore matches. And he was like upset because his tag partner TJP is going to be a heavyweight now, and so he's afraid. So this is about him like facing his fears, and he was one of the most vicious guys in the match. And then at one point, Will Ospreay, when he's like the last guy in it, he like takes Francesco Akira, and he's just like basically like protecting him, and he's the only one left against the War Dogs, these guys are like huge pieces of shit, very easy to hate, and he just like rolls Francesco Akira out of the ring to like keep him safe because they want Ospreay, and then he goes off into the sunset. But it was a very well wrestled match. I hope really that Tony Khan was watching this match to see his hot new signee absolutely get fucking destroyed for an hour and look absolutely dead. And he's like, so you're coming over here now?
Yeah.
But you just did that crazy, insane match.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, bruv. Yeah, I'm fine, bruv.
Yeah.
All right. But they're very different matches.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm picking two. I promise I won't do ties every week, but I just couldn't, they both, they're just two different opposite ends of the spectrum in wrestling, and it just was very different for New Japan to do a main event like that. So.
Yeah. I picked Nick Nemeth and Matt Cardona. I just thought it was fun. It was on
fun.
GCW. Our buddy Ryan Nemeth gets up there, gets involved. Their dad is in the crowd.
I think it was Don Nemeth.
Don Nemeth.
I could have said anything, but
It's just fun. I just really like GCW, and I'm excited to go. I'm wearing the T-shirt.
yeah.
I'm excited to go for Mania weekend,
I watched-
and yeah, I liked that match a lot.
I watched I watched that as well. That was a very fun match. Really great when you can. Like that could have been, probably happened on Raw and paper like a bunch of times in WWE, and it's like, but if you just put a new coat of paint on it, put it in a different place, it's very it's just like a totally different match, and you can just make it feel very different. It was funny that Matt Cardona was like, "This should be happening at WrestleMania, not at GCW." And then at one point he was like trying to make fun of the venue. He's like, "This should be happening at like Madison Square Garden, not the Ukrainian Cultural Center." But as like, given the times, that feels like more of a dig than you meant it as. But that was a really great match.
Yeah, no, that was fun. Outfit of the week.
I picked, I feel like this should just be renamed the Seth Rollins Award because I feel like I just always give it to Seth Rollins. But he had like a sparkly little Riddler-looking outfit and his little bows on his shoes, and it just feels like I didn't see a lot of other stuff that really like inspired me to pick outfit of the week. People have like good outfits, but it's like for outfit of the week, I feel like I'm always on the lookout for like something different.
Yeah.
And he had that. He had the little sparkly suit, and then it was fun. The reason why, part of the reason why I like it is because he had this like dumb sparkly suit, but then he was like really cursing this guy out and getting very legit angry. And it's funny that he has to have this silly suit on.
He had great shoes on too.
He did have great shoes,
which they made fun of.
Yeah, Roman. He's already getting infected with rock disease, where he's making like kind of problematic jokes,
candy ass jokes, basically.
Yeah,
I picked Rhea Ripley's getup at the WWE press conference.
Mm-hmm.
She also had great glam this week generally, but at the press conference she rocked a big black trench coat. And I really like that on her. I think she's done a lot for big black trench coats with her career.
Big black trench coats really have needed a big turnaround.
She is doing the work that needed to be done since Columbine to rehab the big black trench coat.
Not since Blade and The Matrix.
Right.
Have they done?
Yeah. So
Columbine
honestly, between Columbine and the Matrix reboot, we needed a win for black trench coats.
We did. And Rhea Ripley's happy to do.
Yeah,
happy to tell you that.
She's gonna bring it. Yeah. So we already did shock of the week.
We did.
So now we got nerd fantasy booking.
So I feel like I've said this already. Do you want to go first?
No.
Okay. I feel like I've said this already, but I can't remember, and I'm just going to say it again. I want Eddie Kingston to grow his hair long. Long hair Eddie Kingston. Just imagine that. Same guy, but his hair is just really long. Isn't that funny?
That is pretty funny
to me. Just long hair Eddie Kingston. He doesn't change a thing about himself. He's just got hair down to like here, and it's like really well cared for. And he's just got
I wonder what Eddie Kingston's hair is like.
He's got like
though.
Dalton Castle hair is what I want.
Oh, that's what you want him to have. But
Yeah.
I'm wondering what it is
or even like
like.
like Roman Reigns' hair. What his hair would look like if he grew
does
it out
he have
really
curly
long.
hair?
I don't know. I've never seen him with it longer than like a little tiny bit not buzzed.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know what his hair would look. I don't know if it would. Yeah, if he has curly hair or straight hair, I don't know what it would look like, because he always has it buzzed or almost shaved.
Eddie, we want to see.
Eddie, grow your hair. I don't respect you at all until you grow your hair out. Okay.
Okay. Mine. Can you tell I was ready?
Hey, this is how WWE had their back against the wall, with their booking because they fucked it up so bad. So now,
okay, this is kind of messed up.
Ooh, a messed up one.
I want Rhea Ripley to lose.
To who? Nia Jax? Or
No, I don't want Rhea Ripley to lose to Nia Jax. Although I do feel like Nia Jax cheating is probably the best way for her to lose, because that doesn't make her look weak necessarily, because Nia Jax is huge, and if she cheats, it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But I just feel like this title run for her has been a little bit weird.
Yeah.
And I feel like they didn't push her the way that they should have.
Mm-hmm. It seemed like they were going to strap a rocket to her back, and they just kind of made her.
I mean, she's the type of person that I think has it in her to be like a women's Roman Reigns almost, in a good way.
Like Becky Lynch.
In a good way, yeah. Yeah, that's
Oh
why
no,
the
but
Becky.
I know what you mean though. Yeah.
But that's why the Becky
More
Lynch thing
similar
is so
character.
exciting because it does feel like they are on that level together.
I know what you mean. She could be a similar character to Roman Reigns, the way that Becky was kind of a similar
Yeah,
character
just
to
kind
Steve
of like
Austin.
a big boss,
Mhm.
dominant champion, and I feel like they walked that back so much and wanted to make her like Dom's girlfriend.
Yeah,
and
they
like,
made her like silly with Judgment Day.
Yeah,
Or, like,
and
if she,
I feel like that is not. I feel like Rhea should have been the leader of Judgment Day, the way that Roman's the leader of the
they
bloodline.
kind of did that to Roman Reigns
like,
too. They act like he's all dominant, but he literally cheats to win almost every match.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if
But
you're
he
a
still
heel,
is
you're a
presented
heel.
more
But
seriously.
I think the presentation is just a little off, and I think she could use a reset.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like getting to do the chase again will give her that momentum to
Yeah.
you know, cause
Motivate her.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like she just needs. She needs to get off TV for a little while, I'll be honest, probably,
Yeah.
and just get married, and maybe she's going to, actually.
It's true.
Oh, did I just spoil it that she is going to lose the title because she's getting married?
Oh yeah.
I wonder if they'll.
Well, she can just. She's barely defended that title this whole year. She's like on every other pay-per-view, which is not an indictment of her, but it's just like they don't. So she could easily get married, go on a honeymoon. It's not like she's if she gets pregnant, that's another thing because then she can't wrestle for a while.
True.
But if she's just getting married, she could just go on a honeymoon and come back, and you probably wouldn't even know.
Anyway, I love Rhea. I think she has it.
Of course, 100%. That's what I thought last year when I wanted her to win the title.
But I just without spoiling anything, I just read an advanced copy of a certain wrestler's memoir, and it got me thinking about how your career is more than just, one title run, and that sometimes the best way to shake up your career if things aren't going super great is to lose the title so you can get it back again.
Wise words from Alicia Fox.
And I hadn't. It's funny because I wouldn't have known who you were talking about if I had not just recently watched the 2019 Royal Rumble again.
You did, yeah.
And I was like, who, Alicia Fox? And I was trying to remember who that was. Anyway, she has a big hat.
She did have a big hat.
She had a big hat.
That was fun.
She had a great spot in that. Anyway, that was my thing. I just want Rhea to get back to the basics.
Yeah.
I feel like she was so great when she was doing the whole really legitimately scary person thing.
Up through when she won that title, it was all gold.
Mm-hmm.
And then ironically, when she had the gold, it was they just immediately stopped.
Yeah, they made her gentler in a weird way, or
and
softer.
she had to wrestle Natalya, which is lots of respect to Natalya, but it's just Natalya wasn't gonna beat her. You know what I mean? They had her wrestle a lot of people that just you didn't believe, or that were bigger than her or strong. Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't. I don't know. It just wasn't working this whole year, and they just didn't have her wrestle that much. I understand maybe swapping people out for pay-per-views and focusing on different people, but she would go months without being on a pay-per-view, and it was why are we doing 3 pay-per-views in a row with no Rhea Ripley? I don't understand this.
All right, well,
that was.
I think we did all the stuff.
Yeah, we did. I think we did a good job.
We did
How
an
about you?
awesome job.
If you thought we did a good job, like and/or subscribe, and/or just reach out.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.